This time of month is very important for me because I really get my inner balance, figured out, right? This is really
the cleanse.
This is a cleanse for me.
Yeah.
And part of it is confessing to where I may be very wrong, and I also accept that.
Wow.
I don't mind being right. I don't mind being wrong. That's not the business I'm in. I'm not in the business of being right or wrong. That's the business of being a GM, a head coach, making decisions, right? I'm in the business of talking about sports. And I like to have philosophies, theories that I think work. Some have really, really worked out for me. I would say 65, 70% of the time.
Right.
There are also times where it's completely failed me. But I have a confession this morning. I've really taken a look at Jalen Carter. Okay? And I've really thought
I hope
it
you
through.
did. I hope you took
took a long look at him.
Admire.
Agent comes out, says he's only talking to 10 teams. Okay, whatever. I'm just going to ignore that for now. He is a phenomenal talent. The most disruptive interior lineman coming out in the last, 5-10 years? Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I will not discredit anything he's done on the field. But this morning, and I'm going to make it official because I'm never going to talk about this again. For the 2023 NFL Draft,
Don't you say
I'm
it.
out on Jalen Carter. And I don't care if I'm wrong. And I don't care if he goes all pro. I don't.
What?
Wait, hear me out. Let me finish before you freak out.
Go.
That's me accepting if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And you guys can come give me shit later. That's fine. But when I'm drafting somebody, you got to check off certain boxes. And when you make mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake leading up to the NFL Draft, I am not inclined to take you 6th overall. I have a potential Super Bowl contender waiting for one player to hit on that defensive line, and it changes everything. Now, at 18, okay. You can talk to me him at 18. I refuse to draft Jalen Carter. I refuse it. I'm absolutely, completely out on him. I'm not sold. I have way too many questions, way too many concerns. And what the hell are you grinning for?
What did you just say?
Go for it.
Did you just say you're out on Jalen Carter, but you take him at 18?
6th overall, I'm completely out. It matters, Jeff.
Aren't you the one?
If he's gonna fall.
Didn't you just say, and we've been preaching, because we do this with Cansey, it's not about where the value is, right? If he's for Cansey, he's rated a top 20 pick, but you take him at 6 because he's your guy. So why would you take him at 18 but not at 6?
Because at 6, I am making him the face of my franchise. And at 6, you need to check off certain boxes for me. When we get to the middle of the first round, if he's still there at 18, I'm already vindicated at that point. That is a throwaway pick. I could give a shit. At 18, if he's on the board, be my guest and take him. I don't care. That to me is a nothing pick. I've already won. But the idea of spending the 6th overall pick on Jalen Carter, to me, is off the table.
Would you say Jameson Williams is one of the faces of the franchise? You think he's up there?
No, I don't. How can he be?
You don't think Jameson is one of the
I think
foundational players? So
well, he hasn't proven it yet.
Okay, my point being,
what's your point?
He was
So
the
I can
second
answer correctly.
So Jameson was taken second in the first round.
12th overall,
I
yes.
still think he's one of the faces, the young players that you look for in the
why
future.
did he fall?
Well, he was injured,
okay.
of course. But
Okay.
I'm saying
If Jalen Carter
you're
falls,
talking about
you think
6,
I wouldn't be happy
6
at 18
versus
taking
18.
him?
If you take Jalen Carter at 18, he's still one of your...
I'm not saying he isn't.
Right.
But I'm getting him at 18. I'm not spending the 6th overall pick, all the leverage I have in this upcoming draft, on a guy who can't show up to his job interview in fucking shape, can't complete his drills, gassed for air, lies to the police, denies his story, can't even get his fucking story straight. Yeah, I have questions, and I'm not taking him 6th overall. I'm not. Just like I won't take Will Levis if he's there. Just like I wouldn't take Levis if I'm the Colts. I have questions. I have concerns. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Great. Not always going to be right. I don't like Jalen Carter. Not a fan. Way too many question marks. Work ethic is one of the most important things when it comes to the defensive tackle position. You need to enjoy the suck, the hurt, the pain, being in the trenches for 60 minutes against grown-ass fucking men who just want to punish you. You can't keep 9 pounds off for your NFL Pro Day? You can't finish your drills? How the hell are you supposed to finish the fourth quarter? How am I supposed to rely on you being in the game in the fourth quarter with a minute left, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 4th and inches? I need you to make a play. How am I supposed to rely on you? I mean, yeah, I have questions.
Listen.
I'm not touching him. And don't even get caught up in the 18 thing. That's just hyperbolic. That's just me being toxic. Fuck him at 18. That's not the point. The point is I am not touching Jalen Carter at 6 overall.
Okay, well, I disagree with you vehemently. Listen, I get if you're out on Jalen personally, you don't like his character. That's fine. But what are we doing here? The highest rated player for a long period of time before this draft, even higher than Will Anderson. And if you go back, if you talk about you want him to be, embrace being in the trenches for 60 minutes, be physical, be nasty. Well, let's just go back to the tape. Go back and watch Jalen Carter against Tennessee. Right, because that left tackle for Tennessee, he'll be going in the first round.
Can I interrupt you?
Go watch him at LSU.
Can I interrupt you? Because it's not fair.
Because you're going off character.
You're having a different conversation with me. Because if you're going to ask me what he did against Tennessee, LSU, any of these teams, I'm going to tell you, Jeff, I'm watching a phenomenal, imposing prospect right now. That's not the point. There's a reason he's falling. He should be a top 5 pick. He shouldn't even be a consideration for the Detroit Lions. Why is he in the conversation now? Because he has multiple speeding tickets. He was involved in a tragic incident. He's a liar. He showed up to his pro day out of shape. He couldn't finish his fucking drills. Yes, that matters to me. You can say it's not fair, but last I checked, your job interviews matter. And that's to me. And if you want to take him, be my guest. And if Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell want to take him, be my guest. That's no problem. And if he works out, no problem. I was wrong. No problem. But I am not going to break my rules for Jalen Carter, who has shown me nothing but negative since January 1st. Not a fan.
Hey, that's your opinion. That's fair. I'm going off tape. And if you go off tape and you watch Jalen Carter at Georgia, the 2 national champions he won while he was at Georgia, he was one of the, if not the best player on one of the most stacked defense in college football. So I look at that. I look at what he would do for Adham and the rest of these guys in this defensive line. There is no value. It's hard to measure value for somebody like Jalen Carter to come in. You don't need Jalen Carter to come in right away and give you 9-10 sacks. His value will strictly be just being on the field and what he would do for guys like James Houston, for guys like Aiden Hutchinson. That's what I look at, his value. And I think if he was on the Lions right now,
why did the Lions draft Aiden Hutchinson last year?
Because he was great point.
You
had the widely regarded best prospect fall to you at 2.
Is he though? Because the
best player. Maybe not prospect, but player.
Excuse me. Last I checked, Kayvon Thibodeau was a much more talented prospect than Aiden Hutchinson.
Trayvon, let's be honest.
We're talking about prospects here.
We're talking about players important as well.
Why did you fall in love along with me with Aiden Hutchinson? You fucking two-faced bitches. Why? Because he had high work ethic. You didn't question what he was off the field. He could be a leader day one. Oh, and you're not worried about him being unathletic because he handled that at his pro day in the combine. He did just fine. That's why. Because Aiden Hutchinson didn't give you any reasons to pass on him. Jalen Carter, on the other hand, is giving me all the reasons to pass on him.
Well, it's all character.
That's the point.
It's all character
That's
based.
the point.
Yeah, it's nothing to you.
It does translate to the field, though. How many people struggle off the field and end up reaching their ceiling on the field? You know how hard it is to be the 1% of the 1%?
I mean,
do you know how fucking hard it is?
Let's be real here.
You think everybody's Kobe Bryant, for example, that works out 4, 5, 6 times a day? No, it is hard to be the 1% of the 1%, and you don't get to do that by resting on your talent. It takes hard work. It takes commitment. It takes stability on and off the field. And Jalen Carter is making me question everything.
So because of the situation that he was involved in, the driving, the speeding, the racing, and his pro day, you're out. Those two. It's only those two situations, right? It's illegal trouble and then the pro day.
Yes,
because
it's a bad.
Yes, okay.
It's a
then
bad
character
look.
issues, you're out. That's fine.
And again, I'm not in the room, right? If I was a general manager, one, I wouldn't be public with any of it. Two, I'd sit him down and I'd try to figure out what the fuck is going on. Because I need to figure out, one, do you love football? Two, do you understand what you're doing to the future of your family? You're losing millions of dollars as we speak right now. Because if you don't land this interview with me, you're fucked and you're going to fall. And I'm going to tell every GM after you that, hey, this guy's not serious about football. I'd stay away from him. Because that's how the NFL works. So yeah, I'm not in the room when they're going to interview him. Or they have, or they will, or any of these teams. But from the outside looking in, from what I'm seeing, absolutely not.
Well, this is the problem I have too, is with, the pro day, and I get it's a bad look, or the legal trouble. People just assume he doesn't love football. Like, that's something that Brad and Dan are only going to know by interviewing him. So I can't sit up here and say the guy doesn't love football. I think that's an ignorant statement to make. I really do. Now, his actions might show you that, but to say he doesn't love football,
I have some statistical evidence.
That doesn't make any sense.
Was he not a 5-star prospect coming out?
Yeah, he was elite.
Was he not an imposing defensive tackle?
Yeah, at Georgia.
Has he ever produced at the level that you would consider a 5-star prospect to produce at?
His impact, yes.
Impact, very different.
Yeah, because that's his position. It's defensive tackle. He's not going to...
Did he produce like you would expect one of the greatest generational defensive tackles to come out and produce? Because last I checked, statistically, no.
Yeah, he's not Sue.
Right?
But
and Dominic,
in terms
you can
of
even
impact,
look at some of
yes.
the more recent guys. It's not even just Sue was an anomaly. He was a Heisman candidate. That's different.
So let me ask you this. Georgia, they won 2 natties.
Yes.
Was he not the best player?
No, he was not the best
player.
player.
Or second best player?
He was one of the best players on defense for 2 years.
No,
yes.
if you talk about the impact and what Jalen Carter did for the rest of that defensive line, you could probably make an argument.
He was one of the best players, absolutely.
No, you could probably make an argument he was with his impact. With his impact. What he was doing in the middle for Georgia, you can't look at me and say he didn't have the biggest impact.
We're going to
for the rest
not
for
talk
Nolan
about
Smiths
Jordan
of the
Davis
world.
last year and how impactful he was.
Well, Jordan Davis, of course, but he had Jalen Carter beside him. So, like, just eliminate Jalen Carter? Like, that's the point. Trayvon Walker was good, but guess what?
Nolan Smith now?
Guess what? All these guys.
All the corners?
Yeah, keep going.
And the secondary players?
Keep going. It all goes back to Jalen Carter, baby.
How does he get all the credit for all the stuff
because
he has
he takes up 2 blockers a play. It's Jalen Carter. Like, what are you talking about? What do you we assume what Jalen Carter to underestimate his impact on Georgia is ignorant.
I'm not.
Like,
I literally told you he's one of the best players over the last 2 years for them. Absolutely. I'm not disagreeing. I don't know where you're losing me here.
Like, I'm lost because we're getting beside. If you're talking about character, that's fine, but don't you dare bring up football.
Though. That's not
You'll
my
lose
argument.
that argument. Okay,
but that's just not my argument.
If it's character, that's fine, but you're kind of. You're kind of dipping into football a little bit. There's nothing football related.
I asked you questions. I
character,
didn't say anything.
That's fine. Okay, character,
I was asking you.
Okay.
A 5-star prospect. Did he produce like you would expect him?
Okay.
I'm not saying he wasn't impactful. Again, he was one of the most impactful defensive players in the last year and a half, 2 years in college football.
Then we're good.
Nobody can deny that.
You were creeping into that argument.
No, I wasn't.
Don't do that. Okay.
That's not the point. Don't look at the chat. The chat has no idea what the fuck's going on here.
Who's looking at the chat? I'm looking at stats.
Focus with me.
I got stats in front of me, baby. Making sure I can correct your dumb ass if you say so.
Damn it.
So, listen, Jalen Carter, that's fine. It's your opinion. And a lot of GMs are going to feel the same way as you. I'm just basing it off the film. If he's there at 6, you would have never had a chance to even take him if these things didn't come out. So you at least have to consider it. I think that's something you're going to have to look at.
And if I looked at the film, there's dozens of players that should have been absolute hits in the NFL, but they missed for obvious reasons. Why? They missed because of off-the-field issues. They didn't take football seriously in the summer. They showed up to camp out of shape.
Which is true. Football character, Brad Holmes says.
Like, this matters, important. Man. Like, we act like it doesn't matter. If it was about who's the most talented, everybody wouldn't miss on their first-round picks every year.
But can we agree, this is why I have a hard time with this, because position of need, defensive tackle.
Yes.
Jalen Carter's by far the best defensive tackle in this draft.
Yes.
I can't see, but come on. It's Jalen Carter.
There is no debate here.
So that's why it's so hard for you to say, okay, well, I'm out on him completely. That takes balls. So I give you credit, because to deny the best defensive tackle in the draft, who would have went 1 or 2 before obviously teams traded up to get a quarterback, like that's ballsy. The Lions need somebody like Jalen Carter. Now, if he doesn't love football, he's a bad character, he's bad for the culture, then stay away from him. But Brad and Dan even mentioned it, and Dan mentioned it specifically. When you have a good locker room, you can bring in a guy like the...
I'll tell you why that's a lie.
Okay, tell me why it's a lie. Why Dan
I'll tell you why that's a lie to an extent. Part of it's true, okay? One, you need a successful culture, number one.
Yes.
A successful team. Number two, More importantly, in my opinion, there's a big difference between Kirby Smart handling a $1 million NIL player who's a 5-star recruit and Jalen Carter, and a professional head coach handling a $30 million defensive tackle with those very same issues. That's the difference. You are a millionaire overnight.
True.
You have responsibilities nobody can ever prepare you for in life. This is what you're showing me leading up to it? I have my doubts. Not on the field. But those very same doubts will creep onto the field eventually, and we've seen it way too many times in this league. That's why I'm out.
But again, kind of like this quarterback argument, because you made the case, well, for quarterbacks, a lot of the time these guys don't hit. What about the guys that do have pass but end up being okay in the league?
Well, again, you want to use a recent one? Everybody loves to bring up Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons showed up to his pro day in the combine and absolutely demolished it. He was phenomenal. He had hazing questions. It wasn't character. It was about a hazing issue at Penn State. Very different to Jalen Carter. You go find me. Do the research. Go find me the Jalen Carter examples. Speeding, driving issues, showing up to your pro day out of shape. Go find me those players that were rated and tell me how their careers went. I'll do you a favor. I'll do you one better. I'll do the fucking research and I'll bring it to the show tomorrow. And then we'll go through that data.